What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today is another installment of Macro Monday here on the channel where I review a beer from a macro brewery or a macro-esque beer from a craft brewery. And the beer I'm reviewing today once again comes from Grupo Modelo, and they are headquartered in Mexico City, Mexico, and this is their Modelo Negra. So they are calling this one a Munich Dunkel-style Lager that comes in at 5.4% alcohol by volume, 16 IBUs at the time of review. This bottle is approximately 2 months old, and it also has a best by date of August of 2024, and we're about, what, 5.5 months away from August, so we should be more than good to go. So I reviewed Modelo Especial back in the summer of last year, and a lot of you said that this one right here was your favorite Mexican lager. And, you know, it's a dark lager, and I would agree with you because I've had this beer numerous times before. And the last time I had it was actually last spring. I had it at a Brazilian steakhouse, and it paired beautifully with most of the cuts of meats that I had that day. And yeah, this is just a really good beer. Like, I enjoy this beer, so I thought I would finally review it. A lot of you have been asking me to review it, and here we are. So anyway, we're gonna crack this one open, get it into the glass, and go from there. So I actually bought an entire 6-pack, and I know for a lot of you out there, you're gonna be like, well, okay, what do you mean? Well, you know, I've been having some health issues pretty much since the late 2020, and I don't drink a lot of beers outside of the beers that I review on the channel. So I wanted to buy a 6-pack of this because I'm like, you know what? Throw it in the fridge. It's good until August, and I'll be able to go a little bit hard there with the last little bit of the pores, get a nice frothy head. I wanted to, you know, have like a drinking beer. If I do, let's say I'm in the mood for something, you know, off camera to drink, I have this. So I figured I'd buy an entire 6-pack. Anyway, yeah, that has a nice, like, that's very copperish. Honestly, this looks very akin, and it's probably gonna look different on camera, but in person, kind of like Sam Adams Boston Lager, kind of something like that. It has a copperish, like, you know, brownish, reddish kind of tinge to it. You know, it looks really nice. Great clarity to it. Hold it up to the light. Yeah, I mean, the clarity is awesome. The color is awesome. Good carbonation. This has the etching at the bottom that promotes the carbonation, the nucleation, I guess you would call it. Had about a finger of this light to medium tan-colored head. It's dissipated to about a half a finger now. Somewhat creamy looking, but yeah, it looks like, I mean, honestly, it looks like a nice dark lager. That's what it looks like. Anyway, let's get a nose on this one. Yeah, really nice. So the first thing I get is a lot of like toasted bread, a little bit like toasted brown bread. Then there's caramel, maybe a touch of toffee. A nice like fruitiness, like a slight dark fruit, right? But then a touch of nuttiness, a little bit of like a cocoa powder, like a very slight dusting of like cocoa powder. It's very rich and deep with the malt character. And you know, it's probably unfair to compare, you know, a dark lager to like a regular lager. Like comparing this to the Especials, like, you know, it's night and day. It's literally night and day. One's a darker beer, one's a lighter beer, but they have such a vastly different, you know, profile to the beer itself. However, you know, they're both pretty much, I think, very similar in price. And if I'm going to pick between the two, like, even without you know, reviewing this right now and just tasting them in the past, like, even though I like the Especial and it's one of my probably favorite like macro beers in general, this is what I would pick every single day of the week. Like, it's just, this is more my speed. I love that rich malt character. There's a little bit of like a hop character. It's very like, touch of like a floral kind of spiciness, but very slight. It just smells like it's going to be super clean. Anyway, let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, could drink a ton of this. And like I said, it paired so well with all the meats that I had. There is a little bit of like a spicy floral kind of hop finish that isn't too big or anything. It's just, I think when you're eating something with this, it really makes it pop. The body on this one, approaching medium body, 5.4%, it's nice. The mouthfeel is what I really enjoy about this one. While, you know, it's very, you know, not super carbonated, but it has a nice moderate carbonation like so many macro lagers. This has a smooth, almost creamy sensation, and it makes the mouthfeel even better. The taste is very akin to the nose, maybe a little bit dialed back, which I think is welcomed. The nose was very robust and kind of like, you know, intense, but the taste, it's like dialed down like maybe like 15-20%. Up front, toasted brown bread, a little bit of caramel, that nuttiness I was talking about. Maybe the fruitiness isn't there like it was in the nose. A little bit of that chocolate, again, more of like a baker's chocolate or like, again, a cocoa powder. Midway through the palate, maybe a touch of like an orchard fruit of some kind. And then back of the palate, a little bit of that floral, spicy kind of hop character. Finishes semi to full-on dry, very mild bitterness, but there's a big dryness here to kind of balance out all that sweet malt goodness at the forefront. You know, I never sat down and dissected this beer. And you hear me say I was gonna say, you hear me, I don't know what I'm doing. You heard me say that in prior Macro Monday reviews where I'm like, I never sat down and kind of dissected this beer, because a lot of these beers, you just don't do that, right? You just buy a 6-pack, 12-pack case of it, whatever, you drink it. Sitting down and drinking this right now, in comparison to when I had it at that Brazilian steakhouse, I think I like this actually more, believe it or not. Like, I'm understanding the nuances of this beer, and it's kind of winning me over even more so than it did before. Now, I'm kind of gushing over this beer, but I'm gushing over this beer, and I want you to keep this in mind from a macro standpoint, right? As an overall beer, I would say this is pretty good, right? But when you take into consideration that I can find this pretty much anywhere I go, and it's from a bigger macro company, like, I think the quality is definitely fantastic. Anyway, let's go with another sip, and then we'll kind of hone in on a rating. So, 5.4%. Now you really can't tell. I think, you know, I would think this is probably in the 5 to 5.5 range just based on, you know, everything I'm tasting. But I think this is a very well-balanced Munich Dunkel-style Lager. I've had better, you know, from Germany and whatnot. But again, from a mass-produced big brewery, I think they've done a pretty good job here. I would say if I had to choose like a macro beer that I would enjoy on a daily basis and buy, this would definitely be in like the top 5 for me, maybe the top 3. That's why I bought a 6-pack of it, because I know I'm going to drink the other 5. So price point. So rating on Modelo Negra from Grupo Modelo, I gave the Especial like a 3.6. I said, like, as far as the style went with that one, I gave it like a 4.5. Stylistically, this is probably, you know, again, I've had better within the style from Germany, but if you're talking about like a cheaper Munich Dunkel-style Lager, like, this is up there. But anyway, we're just going to go overall rating. I gave this on tap when I drank it last year a 3.75. I'm going to go a little bit higher. So this beer right here, no issues going low 4 out of 5 and go 3.9 out of 5. Again, that's overall on the beer scale. And, you know, again, for a big macro beer, macro lager, this is definitely one of my favorites. And I could easily drink quite a few of these. The drinkability is through the roof. I love the richness from all the malts. Just a good beer. Anyway, put this over here. Price point availability, $10.99 a 6-pack in my area, or $18.99 a 12-pack. You know, that's, again, very similar to like the Sam Adams of the world's, the Sierra Nevadas of the world's, you know, some of your bigger craft breweries. I would, this is going to sound stupid, and they're two completely different styles, but like, I think I'd rather have this over Boston Lager, especially the new remastered Boston Lager. I'd rather have this. So if I'm paying the same price point, like, I'd rather have this. I think this is more in my wheelhouse, to be honest with you. And availability, like I said, it's Modelo, whether it's the Especial, this, or the other couple brands they have. I mean, I think pretty sure they own a lot of different brands at this point. If you're in the US, you probably should be able to find it. I will say, however, it's a little bit harder to find this in comparison to the Especial. Some places will not carry this necessarily all the time. Sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't, but it's definitely attainable if you want to go out and search for it locally if you're in the US. I'm pretty sure. I think they get into almost every state. Could be wrong, but, you know, if not, go to their website. I'm sure they have a beer finder. It's Modelo. They definitely have to have a beer finder. Anyway, if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. What do you think about this one? Is this one of your favorite Mexican style lagers, even though, you know, it's a dark lager, not a regular lager? Do you like this one or the Especial more? This is definitely more my speed, and I'll always prefer this one over the Especial or most American lagers, just because I for a long time pretty much a dark beer lover. So these, these characteristics and these flavors resonate with my palate more so than regular beer. So that's where I'll end it. So check back in probably 3 or 4 weeks for another Macro Monday. If you have any beer to suggest, put it in the comment section. I've gotten through most of the suggestions to this point. I have a couple left if I can find them. And yeah, we'll see. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.